watch and burn.
Hey everybody, so tonight I want to discuss, I think this came out, yes, the 2005 Canadian horror film, The Dark Hours. And what this tells the story of is Dr. Samantha Goodman. She is a healthcare professional who works at a hospital for the criminally insane. And she also has what appears to be an inoperable brain tumor that is growing, and yet she's been taking some sort of non-FDA approved drug in order to stave off said growth, and it appears to be working, at least somewhat. I remember early on in the film, she's got her brain scan up on the X-ray board or whatever that's called, and one of her colleagues walks in and says, like, "Whoa, what's this?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, it's one of the patients we have here," of course, completely neglecting to mention that that's her X-ray and not a patient at the hospital. And he's like, "Oh, well, this scumbag's dead." He's like, and he says all this medical shit about how there's no way out of that tumor. He's like, "Look at that." He's like, "It's already starting to do this, this, and this, and this motherfucker's dead." And he's like, well, fuck him. He's a rapist piece of shit or whatever. Except, like I said, it was her X-ray. So she gets sort of an unbiased, cold and hard medical diagnosis saying that, like, you're screwed. So what happens here is she takes off to her cabin with her husband, David, and her sister, Melody, because Melody and David are working on a book that David's writing on. He is an author or a writer of some kind, and his deadline is coming due. And the whole time is Samantha is wondering if him and her sister are sort of sleeping together. So she gets up there. It's a little awkward and everything. She goes into the bathroom and she drops something in the bathroom. They hear her. She's like, "Oh, I just broke nothing." She comes out, and then one of the psychos from the hospital that she treated shows up with one of his victims. There's a dude by the name of Harlan, and his victim's name is Adrian. And they show up. Adrian kills her dog. He's like, "Hey, nice dog." And he's like, "Does he really protect you? Is he protective? Will he fight for you?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, he's a great dog." And he's like, and the dog's done. And then Harlan comes in and starts playing these really sort of vicious, sort of tooth-pulling with a pair of pliers sort of game, that because he's looking to get some revenge on Dr. Goodman because of what she did to him while he was under her care back in the hospital. So this movie is just essentially a never-ending game of cat and mouse. And so you think you know where this movie's going, but you really don't, because Harlan sums it up perfectly for us. At one point, he says, "Everybody has ghosts. I'm yours." And he points to the kid, Adrian, and he's like, "And he's mine." And it's an incredibly scary point because, see, Harlan's dead. Harlan's a ghost, and so therefore Adrian's a ghost. And because she, Dr. Goodman, was responsible for Harlan's expiration, now it seems like her conscience doesn't just have to carry around the guilt of killing Harlan, but she now has to carry around Harlan's ghosts. Which, like I said, is a really scary thought. Because, you always just figure that the one person you hurt would be your baggage. But what about the people they hurt? And then what about the people that they hurt? And on and on and on this goes. So you think, "Oh yeah, I only killed one person," or whatever. Well, did you? I mean, technically maybe, but maybe that one person killed 10 people, and now you've got to deal with 11 of them. And that is an incredibly unique choice on behalf of the writers, because it's scary, because you, like I said, you think you know everything, but maybe you have to carry your ghosts and your ghosts with you as well. So I think the biggest shock about this movie was when, or at least I believe that none of it happened, when she's at the bathroom at the start and she drops whatever it was, I can't remember what it was, and she comes out of the bathroom and says, "Oh, it's nothing, I just broke something in the sink." She never comes out of the bathroom, because the non-FDA approved treatment that she's been taking has been causing her to have these low-level hallucinations. And I think what happened was she dropped whatever as she collapsed on the floor, because the drugs, in addition to the tumor, were killing her in that moment. And so everything that us, the audience, were subjected to by way of Harlan and Adrian torturing David, Melody, and her, it all happened inside of her head. And they spent the entire run of the movie trying to get into the bathroom to save her. But it's too late for her because of the brain tumor, as well as the choices she made when she wiped out Harlan, because he was the first person that she was giving this non-FDA approved treatment to, because he had the same tumor, if memory serves. I think that was it, at least. It's funny, I've seen this movie 25, 30 times over the years, so you'd think I'd just be able to go. but now I can't remember. I think he had the same thing she did, and she killed him with it, but she thought she could tweak it just right so that it would work for her, and she didn't really give a fuck about him because he was some rapist piece of shit, so who cares? So I thought that was incredibly sad, that I don't think anything that happened in this movie actually happened. I think that was sort of what was flashing before her as she lay dying on the bathroom floor at the beginning of the movie. I think, at least. This movie is exceptional. It's quiet, it's chilling, it's well written, it's easy to watch, captivating, and it keeps you guessing. And even though I think I figured out the end, I don't really know for sure. That's just my interpretation. And that's what I loved about this movie, is this movie is wide open to anybody's interpretation. But look, I'm going to stop talking because it's getting darker and I keep hearing things. So anyways, thank you so much for hanging out with me for almost 6 minutes while I discussed the little-known 2005 Canadian horror film, The Dark Hours. Like always, if you like this review, don't forget to do something nice for somebody. But please, most importantly, don't forget that the world is actually a better place because you are in it. Like always, I'm going to go. Have a good night. I hope I'm looking in the camera. I really do. I hope I'm looking in the lens.